Esta es una producción de Cinema Tempo.
Hola, buenos días amigos, buenas tardes, mejor dicho. Estamos aquí para platicar con Declan Hannigan y además tener pues una clase de actuación que nos va a dar él desde Hungría, donde está ahora. Y pues bueno, le agradezco muchísimo a Declan y por supuesto a Sandra Becerril, que es quien hizo posible esta charla. Le mandamos muchísimos saludos a Sandra y welcome, Declan.
Thank you
How
very
are
much,
you?
Edna. I'm doing very well. Yeah, it's a little bit later here in Budapest than I think in Mexico.
Yeah, well, it's 1 p.m. here.
Yeah.
What time is it there?
It's going on after 8 p.m. here. My daughters
Okay.
are just watching our interview as I speak as well, so they may wander about if they get bored. So, how is the festival going for you, Edna? It looks like it's going really well this year.
It's really good. We have our last day today of screenings and activities for the festival, and I'm very happy that we can do this chat to close all the special events.
That's great. Well, thanks very much for inviting me. It's really nice to be invited to this festival.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna watch a video for your about your career. So I'm gonna ask Beto to put it on screen.
Discord. Take action now before it's too late.
Let us speak to Mark Spector. Are you unwell?
So, is this your first time in Berlin?
Yes.
Well, it's a remarkable time to be here. Wonderful music, superb nightlife, marvelous restaurant. You remember Mr. Bremovich, don't you? Well, he's very curious what you're doing here in Berlin.
Oh! What the fuck are you doing?
You must remember this, cause all you care for you're gonna miss. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon and for the rest of your life.
I said no planes, but you did it anyway. I said no more Sokol, but you keep them in. I said reduce the Nazis' influence, and you turn him into a fucking hero! All I want is a film worthy of our soldiers fighting the war of our generation. So you have a choice to make.
I don't understand.
You still have a choice to make, Mr. Curtiz. Us or them.
As you said yourself, Captain, our journey is still a long one. The men know how tired they are. And they know why.
It's a reasonable logic, and I don't fault anyone for following it. I want to make myself perfectly clear. That is not our way.
Procession. Launch. More sounding.
Force on Iris is 7 Gs. We lost readings on the Pope flight.
Jesus Christ.
Did you see the news data?
We've lost your flight.
Lost data. Sharp cut off.
LOS here too.
Give us a short, Stockton.
You got 2 minutes.
Dad! No, Dad!
Come on, move!
I won't take orders from you. You can drop dead! Peter! Peter! Peter!
No one deserves that fate.
I'm a killer.
Is that so?
Captain?
If you let me join your brigade, I'll kill for you.
What will your family think about that?
I have no family.
Well, then maybe I do have a place for you.
So, bueno, acabamos de ver un reel con parte del trabajo de Declan como actor. Bueno, como podrán ver, tiene bastantes películas conocidas, entre ellas, por ejemplo, Atomic Blonde. And Declan, I was telling the people that about the reel. So tell us about working with people like Charlize Theron or in Atomic Blonde.
Yeah, well, I've been very lucky. A lot of production in Budapest at the moment. There's a lot of international films and TV series coming through here, and so because of that, and because I'm an English-speaking actor working out of Budapest, I get a lot of really nice opportunities to work with great people like Charlize Theron. And it's just really interesting to work with people who are very talented at the very top of their game. People like Charlize Theron, and maybe some people are familiar with the TV series The Terror as well. It's more in the horror genre as well. And the Terror had a really great cast. It had a guy called Jared Harris, who's in Mad Men and in Chernobyl. Ciarán Hinds, who just got nominated for an Oscar, and Ian Hart, who's part of the Harry Potter series as well, and Tobias Menzies, who's in The Crown. So there's really very, very, very talented actors, and we all started on the same day. And we were sitting around this table because it's the captain's ship, and I was one of the captain's helpers in the TV series. And I realized that I was sitting around the table with some very, very well-known people. And that's a terrifying moment, to see so many very talented and smart people in the same place, and realize that I better not mess anything up. So there's definitely a certain stress to working with people that are that exceptional. But it's also really, really interesting. With the front of camera people, of course, as well, like Charlize Theron, is great to work with, because you see how they approach their work and how seriously they take what they do, how much work they put into it. I think particularly for that film, again, if people have seen the film, the fighting sequences are incredible. The people who did John Wick, the stunt coordinator and the second unit director for John Wick with the Keanu Reeves movie, he was the director of Atomic Blonde. And so they created these amazing, one-shot fight sequences. That there's one sequence that's 10 minutes of these stitched together edits, and it was incredibly physically demanding for somebody like Charlize Theron, and she's really tough. She did a lot of the fight sequences herself, did a lot of stunts herself, and of course, when you do stunts, you're going to get hurt. That's inevitable. And just to see the process that they go through, how seriously they take the work and how hard they work at it, was incredible. And that film particularly, I like to work on the stunt guys who worked on that. They do a lot of films like the Avengers films. They work on that, like the Captain America stunt doubles with these two brothers who work together. And they also, I have to say, I think they just really enjoyed their work. You could see that they loved what they're doing and were very excited to come to work every day. And that's a really nice atmosphere to be a part of, where you're amongst people who are just enjoying the work that they're doing and having a good time. even if it's very serious, and even if you do sometimes get hurt. That's a lovely atmosphere and a great place to learn. It's really nice to watch good actors so you can learn a little bit from them about how they work.
No, that's great. I'm going to ask our guests to get into the transmission right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, hola.
Hi, guys.
Well,
Hi.
they're
Hi, Declan.
Hi, guys. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Bueno, esta, además de ser una charla, va a ser una clase interactiva. Por eso tenemos aquí a nuestros invitados que van a recibir algunas instrucciones de Declan en unos momentos más. Pero pedí que entraran por si también tenían preguntas para Declan sobre su trabajo, su carrera. They have, I'm asking them if they have any questions about your career and or any other issue about this.
You can ask really terrible questions too. That's okay. There are no silly questions.
Okay, I have one. Hi, Declan. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Diego.
My question is, I just want to know, how was your experience in the Terror series?
I was lucky enough to work on it from the very start until the very end. So I saw how the TV series evolved. And as I was just saying, there was an incredibly talented bunch of actors working on the series. So it was really, really interesting to work on, to see, it was a good script, which was great to read a good script, because not all scripts that you read are good. And it was great to see really good actors bring that to life as well. And it was the directors that they had were also excellent. They're from Scott Free, were the production company, Ridley Scott's production company. And we had some wonderful directors to come along as well and work on it. So I had a really good time, I have to say, working on The Terror, because, it's a good day going to work. We have to dress up, right? As, turn of the century lieutenant. It's a really fun profession, and people suffer for their art, I know as well, but you still have to, the perspective I have is like, it's really fun to do. It's great fun to be a soldier in a sci-fi series. It's great fun to be a medieval lieutenant on a boat, and so I really enjoyed the work. And being terrified of a monster in the middle of a day, I mean, it's like playing when you're a kid. It's the kind of thing you do when you're a small child. And as grown adults, everybody else enjoys that. We all enjoy doing those things as well. So it was a really nice thing to do. Now, having said that, when we shoot a sequence with the monster, there was one particular sequence I remember filming, and it was a very dramatic moment where the monster comes raging through the camp and kills lots of people. And what we had to do was we had to be terrified of a little Dutchman, a little short sci-fi guy with a tennis ball on a stick running through the camp going, and so that's when you have to bring your actor's skills to try and be terrified of the tennis ball. But again, like those are fun moments. So The Terror, I would say, was a great cast and a great crew, and it was really fun to work on. And I think the series turned out pretty well. And there are probably things that could be better about it. But I really had fun on it, and I think it was quite a nice series.
Indeed, it was. Thank you.
You enjoyed it, Diego?
I really love the series. I want to buy the book because I know it's based on a book. When I watched the synopsis of the series, I really wanted to watch it, and I did enjoy it. And indeed, I agree with you that maybe some things could be better, but in general, it was a great TV show.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And the book is good as well. I recommend the book, absolutely. Any other terrible questions?
Hi, I have a terrible question, maybe. I mean, like, as an actor, I know you have like a lot of fun and a lot of good anecdotes you can share with us. I mean, sometimes when you're rolling or you're recording, you say like, I would really like to know the audience, like this happened now. And can you share something with us, like something like you said, oh my God, if anybody knew about this, it would be like so fun or something.
I'm trying to think. I think I have to think about that now. Like, what would be a silly anecdote? Oh, well, actually, there's one thing I can tell you. Also from The Terror, actually, there was a scene that, because I'm certainly definitely very far from being famous or being any kind of star. So usually the parts are support parts that I play. So I mean, I like the work that I do. I'm very much a supporting actor and support like the very good cast that I get to work with. And so that does mean that sometimes I don't have very much to do. Like, and on this particular day we were filming, it was like this vast, stony expanse. There's not really nothing. Nothing was growing. There were no trees, no grass. The idea was that it was this Antarctic island, where nothing grows. Now we filmed it in Croatia, and we were wearing, of course, clothes for the Antarctic because it was supposed to be minus 30 degrees or something like that. And it was plus 30 degrees on the day we filmed in Croatia. So we had to pretend to be cold, and actually we were absolutely roasting hot. And there was a scene taking place between some of the main characters, but I was off in the background with a few of the other actors as well. And eventually we got sort of disconnected with what was happening. So every now and then people would say action, and we would, talk to each other and pretend that something was happening. But the scene had nothing to do with this. People were shouting at each other far away, but then we were like, okay. So then we started creating our own scene. And so we started improvising this, for us, really hilarious scene about who was going to go and get the ice cream. Now, eventually, there was take after take after take that they were doing in the foreground. And we developed this massive scene of all sorts of different characters, who was going for the ice cream, who was going to go missing from the scene. And so we had our own really fun, completely separate scene off in the backgrounds. And luckily, I was with a bunch of actors who, had fun with it as well, and who could also keep their face pretty straight so that we weren't, laughing in the background of this very, very serious scene. But that made it even funnier. If you can't laugh, then it's much, much more fun to do as well. So I think that was, one of the silliest days that we have. I'm sure that there are other things as well. The tennis ball, being terrified of a tennis ball, I think is also, pretty hilarious for us as well. I'm trying to think what other things have happened. I mean, it's all, yeah. I was filming a very serious. I don't know if you've seen Atomic Blonde, but there's a scene in it where there's a car crash, and I crash into somebody and kill a major character in the series or in the film. And so obviously they don't trust someone like me to drive the car, smash into another car. That would be a massive insurance problem for production. So they get someone else to do that part, and then they edit me in a little bit at the end. But they wanted to use like my face and facial expressions digitally to put it into the car afterwards. So between some other shots that we had to do, they had me just sit on a normal chair in the middle outside on a green background. Now, it wasn't in the studio, it was just on the side of the street because they were filming something else nearby. So people were just walking past, having their normal Sunday afternoon, and they're like, okay, now be in a car accident. So it was okay. So what do you want me to do? They're like, just, you hit something and just give us your reaction. And so there was no steering wheel, there was no car, there was just me sitting on a normal chair, and people were walking their dogs going past. So I was like, okay, so, and they're like, no, that's not convincing. You've got to do that. So I spent about, 15 minutes trying to get the perfect car accident look. Completely imaginary scenario. But in the final thing, yeah, you don't really notice that it's me.
No, thanks for sharing. I think we all appreciate those anecdotes and everything you can tell us.
Is it Mary Cruz? Mary Cruz, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, but you can call me Mary. It's okay.
Mary, okay, perfect. Okay, good. Yeah.
I don't know if anyone has more questions.
Arturo? Sorry, both of you. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi. I see your work has a big range from sci-fi, horror, action. How do you pick the roles you wanna play?
Yeah, well, I think I often don't mind, the genres that I like. I like the horror genre. I like the sci-fi genre. Those are kind of the most fun to do, actually, um, and most fun to play in. So they're always my ears perk up if it's a sci-fi or a horror role, of course. But generally, the most exciting thing for me as an actor is to play somebody that changes, right? So to have something to do is like to go from one state to a different state, because that's a character arc. Then you can do something with that character. Then you can kind of experience the character more. And so for me, that's always the most interesting thing. So when I read, even if it's just a small scene, I just did a small scene. I think it's probably still secret, but it was like I did one day. It was one very small scene, but I really liked it because it went from, everything is fine to everything is a terrible disaster over the course of 30 seconds. And so it was a short scene. It was over very quickly, but it was really fun to do because of that change. That reveals something about a person, reveals something about a character. And those are the things, Arturo, are the things that I really enjoy to do, is like to find those characters that change. And I love playing bad guys. I mostly play bad guys, actually. They're much more fun to play. Yeah, like my character in The Terror is not a nice guy. Oh, it's terrible. So, but that's great to inhabit those characters. I think this is quite different to I hope it's quite different to my normal character. But those are the most fun. Thank you, Arturo. Mabel, did you want to ask something as well? Sorry, I interrupted you there. Yeah.
Yes, hi. Well, after I heard like everything about the tennis ball and also like the car crash and everything, what would you say is like the hardest scene that you have ever filmed?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, the hardest scenes, yeah, I had to assault somebody. I had to hurt somebody in a scene, and that was not really hurt them, but it was an uncomfortable thing to have to do, and so I had to really work hard to kind of get into that frame of mind. So that was quite difficult to do. Generally, actually, the hardest things about acting are not even the emotional scenes, because you can build yourself up to emotional scenes, and there's ways, people use method acting, or I use improvisation a lot. I like the improvisation drama set of skills. But I think you're thinking about a lot of different things at the same time. It's like, when you're driving and you're trying to find an address, you have to switch off the radio because it helps you see better, right? If you switch the radio off because you're looking for an address. Well, so acting, it's a bit like you've got to keep the radio on when you're acting, because you've got to do an emotion. You've got to show the emotion. You've got to be aware of where the camera is. You've got to like react as if it's the first time, even though it's the fifth or sixth time. There might be a little mark on the floor that you've got to stand on, but also, maybe you have to be careful not to walk into somebody else. And so there's a whole lot of other very practical things going on at the same time as you're trying to show some emotion or show some character change or deliver lines of dialogue. And actually, those are the difficult things. But that's really the job of acting, is that, as much as anything else. And it's a lot of multitasking, actually. I would say is the most that you have to do. I'm trying to think. Very practically, sometimes you're not talking to somebody who's not there. Maybe you're talking to somebody over here, and they might be beside you delivering lines. Or the camera crosses your eye line and things like that, and you've got to just stay as if everything's fine and they're not there. And you have very, very small, intimate scenes with people, but there's like 30 other people in the room, and it's almost lunchtime, and people are like, "Oh God, did he say the wrong line again? Oh my God, we're never gonna have lunch." So you've got to like stay cool. Okay, I messed it up again. I'm just gonna, try the line one more time. And so there's all of these other kind of pressures around that you're trying to keep out of your mind as you're showing the character. And I think so for me, those are the kind of practical difficulties, I would say, that make scenes tricky. I'm trying to think of a scene particularly like that, but there was I know that now I wasn't in this scene, but again, back to Atomic Blonde. I think the tricky thing for those guys was they do this car shot, and it's in. Do you know Children of Men? Is the film Children of Men? It's a Mexican director, actually, I think, as well. Well, they do the car shot, where the camera goes around all of the people inside the car. Well, then we had the same car rig for Atomic Blonde. I was very small part of the scene, but I wasn't in the car. But they had to do all sorts of funny things, like they were talking to each other in a 2-shot, and then as the camera moved around, one person would have to like flip their chair back. They'd have to like disappear out of the shot, and then like pop back up in the frame as if nothing had happened, and continue this very emotional scene where somebody was going to die and someone was trying to rescue them and they're escaping. And so, I mean, it's pretty high level stuff like that. That's not that easy to pull off. So I think those are the kind of difficulties, Mabel. Those are the kind of challenges that I think much more so than whether the kind of scene or the emotional scene is like those kind of silly technical work things, I think, are what make things tricky.
I think when you hear about those things is when you appreciate way more the work of people who is acting. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, Mabel. Yeah. It's really sometimes silly stuff that make it difficult rather than emotional things.
So I want, please.
Are you okay, Edna?
Oh, maybe if I can butt in just a little bit. You were talking about doing these little scenes and stuff, but you mentioned to keep focus on what you're doing without taking notice of everything around. How do you manage to keep your focus? What's your process to keep that focus during those scenes when everything is something completely different is going around and you have to keep your cool, keep your character, stay in character and stuff?
Yeah. Well, there's so I train people using improv theater as well, and it's one of the things that I think is important is this idea of not panicking, because when things go wrong for most people, people usually panic or have this moment, oh, what am I going to do? Or things have gone wrong. Maybe we can even demonstrate some silly ideas in a moment. But so when things go kind of wrong, or you're afraid of something, you usually react to that. And the training, the thing that I find is, and I try to bring this into my normal life too, is that if something's going wrong, just kind of don't panic. Just take it easy for the moment and try to keep your cool and keep going with what's happening. Or, I mean, something as stupid as, I'm sure you've seen like lots of scenes from movies that people improvised, and the one that comes into my mind is there's Guardians of the Galaxy scene where Chris Pratt is holding the very expensive prop and then drops it, but then catches it again and gives it back. Those are nice moments because he was able to have the presence of mind to go, the character could easily drop the thing, right? His character, that's a perfectly normal thing for his character to do and recover it and come back up again. And it's a much, much funnier scene because he just stayed in the character and he kept going with what he was doing. And I think those are the kind of thing, that's the kind of skill I think is really fun to try to develop as well. But it's really about not panicking, react to what's really happening around you. And in that way, then you can kind of, stay in character, stay in the moment, and make something that's more true and more interesting to watch in the end as well. There's a few nice examples. I think Leonardo DiCaprio smashed a glass during was it Django Unchained, and he cut his hand, right? But he stayed, he stayed in character with his bleeding hand, and again, that's great, because it feels true for that person.
Thank you, Declan.
And anybody has another question?
Hi, me again. Sorry.
Yeah, of course.
I see you're really proud of all your work, and I'm it's really interesting to hear you talk. I thank you for all this. Have you ever been starstruck of meeting, working with somebody? Does it make you even more nervous, or you feel like, oh my God, I'm working with this, I don't know, someone, with him, with her? How's your experience with that?
Yeah, of course you get starstruck. Yeah, definitely. Some people you kind of go wow, they're really good. That's a great actor. That's a very good actor. And you're like, and and I'm acting with them. You're like, ah man, I really hope I don't mess this up. And so it's one of those moments, like I was saying with Arturo as well. It's like to kind of try to stay cool, try to stay calm, try to be normal, even though it's a very abnormal situation. The last thing I did was maybe you'd have seen. There's a thing called Moon Knight, which is a Marvel TV series, and so I played an Egyptian god, which was great fun to tell my kids, that I'm playing an Egyptian god. But my scene was with Oscar Isaac and with Ethan Hawke, and so those are two very good actors to be in the same scene with. And so I was definitely nervous and definitely messed up the lines the first time I had to deliver them. There's no question. But those are really human things to do, and I think everybody has those moments. And honestly, when I see I won't say what production this was or name any names, but I've seen really well-known people come in and work on their first day, and you can see that they too are nervous. The first day of work, like everybody else. You can see that these are very successful, very talented people. They will definitely be great, but in their first take or two, you can see everybody's just settling down, getting used to the work, getting used to the situation. So that kind of nervousness, that kind of fear, like I think everybody has it to some extent, even if they've found ways to deal with it. I think it's always there, no matter who you are. Maybe Tom Cruise doesn't feel like that, but possibly he might be the exception.
Well, Declan has. I'm sorry, my throat is giving
Are
me
you
some
okay,
trouble.
Edna?
Yeah, I'm a little bit. I have it irritated.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I think she's having some trouble.
I think he's having some trouble. Well, we can, Edna, you're going to be okay. Yeah, we can carry on. If anybody has any more questions, please feel free to ask them. Or we can even play something if you have any other. What would you like to ask? Anything else? Okay. Well, I have a couple of things that I'd like to do. Yeah, sorry, Miri, what did you want to ask?
No, it's okay. I was just gonna thank you for the previous answer, and also just wanted to if you wanted to share something with us, as an audience, as a public, or as your admirers, it would be great if you had any advice or something to say.
Well, the advice that I would have is I think the don't panic one is quite essential for most situations, and it kind of covers a lot of ground to don't panic. The other thing is I think people can get frustrated about, usually if you're a working actor and you want to get into films, you often have, small parts, small roles, but everything kind of builds on itself as well. And I think in most, I was in a terrible film. I'm not going to say which one it was, but there was a lot of I was one part of a very, very big scene, and I was feeling like, this is stupid. I don't know what I'm doing here. This is a really small part, and maybe I should just have stayed at home today. But I looked across this. It was an amphitheater. I looked across the amphitheater that they were filming in, and I saw there was about 5 other, household names, 5 really, really well-known actors all standing around, also doing nothing because the scene wasn't about them. And it made me realize, sometimes it's just not about you. Sometimes the scene is about something else, and you're, a color in the palette. And I think that idea of being a color, whatever color it is a nice idea for working actors, that you can be, just be the best role that you can be for what you're doing. And it doesn't have to all be about you. The scene doesn't have to revolve around you. You just do the best job that you can, and find interesting things to do with your scene. Find interesting ways to bring change to your character, because those things eventually will turn into bigger roles at one point. And I remember I did an audition for a part, and I did it a slightly different way, and in a kind of a funny way, where they thought it would be a very serious scene. It was in The Witcher. Actually, I probably can say what it was, in The Witcher. And so I did the audition in a different way, and they were like, "Oh, that's really nice. So we're going to write that into the series." And so they wrote the thing that I did in the audition into the script. Unfortunately, the scene got cut, so you'll never see it. But those are the kind of things that happen. But having an effect on directors, having an effect on your audience, I think is really the point of acting. And sometimes you get more of the scene than you expected, and sometimes you get less. And I think you kind of have to be okay with that. Like people, I think if you have a big ego, you probably will be very disappointed. Your ego needs to stay fairly calm, I think, to be able to be a working actor. I was thinking, so what we might do is I've got a couple of really silly exercises and games to play if you guys want to take part in that. Like, yeah, that sounds good. So what we might do is this. If you don't mind, Arturo and Mary, do you guys know each other? Excellent. Okay, brilliant. So then this will probably work pretty well. Now it's a little bit embarrassing for you guys now, right? But bear with me. Like, hopefully, hold on. Let me see if I can get my. I just have to get the timer. Yeah, it won't hurt. No one has been injured at this game this year so far, so you're probably going to be okay. So far this year, and it's August, so it's probably fine. What I'd like you to do is, so you're going to have 1 minute each. All right. I just want you to introduce yourself to each other. Or so Arturo, Mary, just talk to each other. Introduce yourself. Say who you are. All right. You got 1 minute each, and that's it. Okay. Pretend that we're not here.
Okay.
Arturo, maybe you could start.
Sure. So, hi, Mary. Hi, Mary. How are you doing?
Hi, Arturo. Really good. How are you?
I'm fine. Fine, thank you. So, Mary, tell me, what do you do for a living?
Well, I'm a finance advisor, so like not really so much into cinema, but I really love spending time with my friends. I do a lot of community work, and sometimes I just have like little projects helping other enterprises. How about you?
Well, I work as a language teacher at a college here in Mexico. I teach, well, to my niece, I am an English teacher. To my students, I'm a Mandarin professor. I've been doing it for like 10 years, and it's been so great. It's been great so far. Doing this in Mexico City is a little bit difficult because not many people think of Chinese as a very useful language, but it's growing there and it's getting bigger by the minute. We're doing some online classes and stuff. So, are you currently working online? You're already at the office.
I might stop you guys there, actually, if you don't mind. Yeah, let me hold you up there. So thank you very much. Like, I know it's a tricky game to play, right? So now what I want you to do is I want you to introduce yourself to each other. You've got about a minute or so. You can't use any of the stuff that you've just said.
Okay.
Right. So anything that you've already said, you cannot use that at all. You've got to find a completely different way to introduce yourself.
So 1 minute each, but it's like a monologue, something like that.
No,
well, it's up to you how you do it.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's up to you. Completely up to you guys. Yeah.
One at a time.
It's
Are you
totally
okay with
up to you how you do it.
Oh, okay. It's fine. It's a conversation. Fine with me. So, Mary, you want to start?
You start this time.
Okay. So, I'm 49 years old. I love cinema. I read. I love reading comic books, watching Marvel, DC comics, and I'm about to get into a workshop with who I believe is playing Khonshu on Moon Knight. It's awesome to be taking classes, taking a workshop with a moon god. So it's a pretty awesome time for me. What else? Right now I'm taking a break from classes. Tomorrow I'm gonna. Oh, sorry. So what else? Sunday here in Mexico City, just chilling, just aiming to learn something new that I can put to the test on my own personal life. And as I told you, trying to what else? This was a lazy day. Usually I work out every day from like an hour or so, but today I'm chilling. I'm taking it easy. Everybody's running a marathon here in Mexico City, but I'm just watching it from home. and afterwards, I don't know.
Arturo,
maybe
that's great. Let's give Mary a wee chance to talk as well. Or sorry.
I was just thinking how far he could go. I think it's good for him. Okay, I'm 28 years old. I live alone. I am like a strong, independent woman. I love theater. I love reading. I love to learn a lot. I'm currently learning French. Supposedly, I was supposed to be learning Mandarin, but not so far. What else? Today is Grandpa's Day. Well, Mexico's Grandpa's Day, so I'll be heading to see them later. I was having a breakfast with cold pizza. It's a great breakfast. Also, I love flowers. I love spending around the day in the park. Spend time with my friends. Star Wars, also Marvel comics too. Well, Marvel and DC. I prefer DC. And I'm also like really nervous right now.
Okay, we can stop. Okay, good.
Okay, that's okay.
What are we doing here? What do you notice about the two different introductions? So anybody can comment on this at all. Arturo, Mary, both of you guys can contribute, but anybody else can speak too. Sorry, Mary, go ahead.
I think that like the first one we both centered in our work and what we do like for a living and so, and the other one was like what we do for fun or what we like to do and how are we right now.
Yeah, it got more personal, right? There's like two different layers that we saw, right? Yeah.
I felt I actually lose focus because I went back to the teaching part of my life. So tomorrow there's classes and there I snapped and nothing from the prior conversation.
Right. You kind of refocus yourself again. But it's interesting, like that sense, that panic that I talked about earlier on when we had the interview. I'm sure you felt a little kernel of that panic now as we played this game.
Definitely.
Yes, because you're so used to introduce yourself somehow. Sorry.
Go ahead, Mary. Yes. Yeah.
No, I mean, like we're used to introduce ourselves like in a simple manner, like we do this, we that, and then you change like the dynamic, and it was like, oh my god, wait, let me reorder and remember what I said before, so I can just like make it better.
That moment of panic of like, oh, I haven't done this. This is not I didn't sign up for this. Like, no, I have to think about who I am, right? And essentially, it should be like quite a simple, straightforward question, right? Like, because it's still you, right?
Yeah.
But it's that digging through the layers a little bit deeper. It just feels different and feels more fresh. And like when we talk about improvisation, that's kind of touching on the nerves of improvisation. Then is like that idea of being very present in the moment. Is when you have to actually think about, what's happening right now with me. And I love that you guys gave these lovely answers about like what you did today and like what do you love to do. Like I think Arturo, you talked about work, and then the first 5 sentences the second time started off with, well, I love this and I really love this and I love this as well. And, so that's a very different kind of experience of a human. And so go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
I was about to tell you it's kind of different when I started talking not about work, but about my own personal taste, my likes, dislikes, and stuff. It felt different. It's I don't know. It's this thing about opening up with somebody else that it's a little bit different.
Right. It's a different connection as well, right? So then you have a different relationship with the person, right? Because you're talking about real things that you really like, things that you really love. You're talking about things that actually touch you deeply. We have this, I think, surface layer. That my daughters are here watching as well. Like, so thanks, guys. So.
She noticed.
Yeah. So that's my other layer. Yeah. So like these guys are my greatest critiques at the moment. Like so. But we have these other layers. We have this, the work, the standard answer that we have for who we are, which is usually work based, and is probably not even half the truth of who the human is. But it's the surface that we present to the world. And we think about that in terms of character. What does that mean when we talk about characters then? What do you think? Please have terrible answers for that. Yeah. So Mabel and Diego, you guys can, jump in and have observations as well about anything that you noticed.
I was thinking that at the beginning when they were like talking, like as a conversation, is like a pretty social stuff that you start talking about work. No, like it is like the main thing that you go with. And then when they started talking about like the things that they like, and also what Arthur was saying, like suddenly he noticed that he was kind of repeating what he said before, and he remembered like the rule. It's like that moment when you mentioned that you have tons of things at the same time, so you need to focus on the goal.
Yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it, that our brains crave safety. Actually, humans, we like to be safe, right? And so it's very risky to talk about things that you like, because I think we learn, specifically as teenagers, we learn not to say that we like things, right? It's easier to say that we don't like stuff. Like, oh God, my parents are so lame. Not pointing any fingers to these guys who are not quite teenagers yet, but getting close. But so it's easy to not like stuff, and we learn to not like things because that's dangerous. And it feels dangerous to say that you do like things, right? To open up your personality to go like, because if you like something, someone can say like, oh, that's terrible. Yeah. So yeah, no, I like the first Alien movie, like, oh, that sucks. People can hate that, and I'm an outlier because like the Alien 3 movie, I actually quite like that. And people hate that movie. David Fincher hates the movie. He directed it, but anyway. So, to like things is dangerous. And we saw you guys struggle a little bit with that risk as well. And I loved, did you notice the conversation? Arturo and Mary were like, well, should it be conversation or should it be a dialogue? How should we do this? It's safer to talk about the format than it is to do the thing. Okay, so we had this moment of like, let's reduce the risk. Let's bring the risk down a little. And I love Arturo. Well, Mary, you can go first. Yeah. So we're all, I'm not to pick on you, but we're just reducing the risk for ourselves, and that's a really, really normal thing to do in any kind of challenging situation. And this certainly is a challenging situation. So I know I asked you to do something very, very difficult to begin with to put you on the spot like this as well. But so it's interesting what our brains do with risk and with that panic as well. But when we talk about characters, though, like, what does this mean for the characters that we meet on screen?
I think like you have to really know your character, because this time it was about us and we know us. However, when it's a character, like you really need to know him and how he would react, so you don't lose like this the loose character while you're filming. Like when you're whenever the camera comes across, or whenever anybody like misses a line or something unexpected happens, then you have like to keep on working or keep on talking like your character would do, like. No?
Yeah, absolutely. And the kind of detail that you guys gave us were some beautiful, beautiful details. You talked about what you're going to do today or tomorrow, what the plans were for the rest. It's grandfather's day, I'm going to go visit my grandfather. Those are beautiful character details, right? So if you can bring that level of detail to a character, because what the character is going to do, what they do for work, what they like to do, what they're going to do today. And so those kind of layers are exactly the kind of thing that you want to kind of understand about your character, at least. And it certainly does happen that, sometimes the scripts don't work the way that they're written, or something is, there's a thing in the way, right? There's a wall, you got to like walk around a wall, so you've got to, talk for longer, or you just find something more interesting in the moment. It has happened several times that people have said to me like, okay, well, yeah, just you say something else. Yeah, just you talk about something else now. Like, okay, great, so yeah, you've learned the script, you've kind of figured out what you want to do, like you've got into the details of it, and then on the moment you're like, okay, now you got to do something that's true and in character and that works right away, just now in this second. And so that kind of, okay, so like you said, Mary, absolutely. What is my guy going to do today? Like, what do they want to do? What did they have for breakfast? What do they like to do? People, I'm sure you know this too. People rarely actually say the thing that they're thinking. If you say the thing that you're thinking on screen, that's soap opera usually, right? So people, in soap opera, people say like, I can't believe you're sleeping with my sister. Whereas like drama is like, so I hear that you had a nice time on Saturday. It's the same meaning, but we say something different, right? And so those are the kind of subtleties of the layers that we're looking for. And again, to kind of, you know, to feel like what is it that your person would say, like what is it this character would say, is a fun thing to know as well, like to fill out characters, even if it never comes out. Like, and often the stuff that you think about for a character doesn't really come out on the screen, but it helps you to kind of be ready just in case you get challenged. You know, with a moment or a scene or with a line, you can be able to find something to do for that person. Let's do something else as well. So okay, why don't we do this? We'll do a very simple game with everybody who wants to join in this time, right? And so what I'm going to give you to do is, yeah, let's do this. I've got 2 games in my head. I'm trying to decide which one to play. Why don't we do this? I'm going to give you a choice of 2 things, all right? So you can switch on your microphones, and I'm going to count to 3, and at the count of 3, I want you to say the thing that you like, all right? So for example, if it was, you know, Coke or Pepsi, all right? If I say Coke or Pepsi, we count 1, 2, 3, and you would say whether you prefer Coke or Pepsi. We're not going to do any branding advertising today, like, so I'm going to choose something else, right? So pizza or sushi, right? Think about your answer. Pizza or sushi. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Sushi.
Pizza.
Pizza.
All pizza. Interesting. I thought in Mexico with the great seafood that you have, that you might get some sushi as well. Good. All right, let me give you another one then. Okay, I've got one. Marvel or DC? Marvel or DC? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Marvel.
DC.
Marvel.
Slight favor of Marvel there. Okay, good. Now, does anybody else have a choice that you'd like us to make? Any other suggestions?
Christmas or Halloween?
Christmas or Halloween? Ooh, that is tough. That's a tough one. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Christmas.
Halloween.
Okay,
Halloween.
It's a very, very tough choice. Let's have another one.
Sweet or salty?
Sweet or salty? Yeah, sweet or salty. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Sweet.
Salty.
Oh, I've got one. Okay. Vampires or zombies? Vampires or zombies? It's a tough choice today, but ready? 1, 2, 3. Vampires. Was everybody vampires?
I think so.
Interesting. Still, vampires win. I think vampires would win against zombies. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Any other suggestion?
Movies or series?
Say again?
Movies or series?
Movies or series? Ah, also a good one. Yeah, movies or series. Would you prefer to watch a movie or would you prefer to watch a series? Okay. 1, 2, 3. Movies.
Movies.
Everybody
Series.
movies. Oh, we got one series. Okay. Tough choice though. Very tough choice. Yeah. Anybody else have a suggestion?
Go out or stay in?
To go out or stay in. Okay, go out or stay in. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Go out.
Go out.
Yes, Arturo, you're staying in. Okay, good, thanks. And again, you know, what is this game about? Like, what are we trying to discover here?
I think at some point, in some degrees, the things that we think about, things we do like, and I don't know, maybe we are trying to reach to see if there's anybody else out there that connects with us. Maybe.
Yeah. We're looking for that like harmony and dissonance. And we have harmony and we have dissonance, and both things are actually interesting and fine. But again, you know, you're looking for those moments, looking for those parts of your character that do that. You know, looking for those, the differences, the similarities, even between characters that like each other, characters that are enemies, and things that they, that they like in common as well, ways that they like each other. And again, these are silly questions to kind of engage your brain with, if you're acting as well. Just think about, what kind of coffee is my guy going to drink if you go up and order something? It's silly questions, but again, they give you something to hold on to when you talk about character. And again, these layers are, I think, what make characters interesting too. I have a suggestion from home audience here. What's your suggestion? Oh yeah, cat or dog? Very important question here. Yeah, cat or dog? 1, 2, 3.
Cat.
We had mostly cats, and we had a dog as well. We had cat and dog here. We had a split audience here as well.
I have another one.
Brilliant. Go ahead.
Batman or Superman?
Batman or Superman? Batman or Superman? 1, 2, 3. Batman.
Superman. Batman.
Mary, was that you with Superman?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think I see the appeal of Superman, because Batman's just a very rich guy with a lot of tools, right? Or a lot of toys. So he's not that appealing, but somehow he's still kind of cooler.
I think Batman it's everybody's favorite, so someone has to like Superman.
Somebody has to like Superman, yeah. I love the Lego versions.
Yes.
Of the superheroes, actually. I love that they exaggerate all of those character details. Again, those are great ways to look at character, like Batman, the very sad, I like to listen to sad music on my own. Those are really fun traits. So we could play a whole bunch of games. There's lots of different little things that we could do. But again, I think what we're looking for always is that, Arturo, you talked about this idea of, I mentioned before, but don't panic is a great thing to have. The layers of your character are great things to know as well. And Mary and Arturo, you gave us a nice examples of that. But just to know different things about your characters, to know different things about what they might like is all really useful and interesting, I think. Did anybody else want to say anything or have any other observations?
I would have loved to talk, but I don't know. My throat is not talking to her today.
I'm so sorry to hear that, Edna. I hope you're feeling better. Yeah.
No, I'm fine. It's just that suddenly it gave me that problem. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's the being on stage, Edna, can do that. But thanks very much for inviting me today, Edna, as well. It was really great to be here and great to be part of your festival. I was telling you, Edna, I was telling you as well, hopefully next year I'll have I know vampires were more popular, but I will be in a zombie film, which is coming out next year. So the slightly less popular genre, but there's a film called Silent Zone that will be coming out next year that I'm going to be, I have a nice part in, that we filmed all here, which hopefully you guys will get to see at some point in the near future. It's not quite released yet, not for distribution yet, but will be soon.
Yes, we will love to watch it, and of course, if we can have you here with the movie, it would be awesome.
Be delighted, of course. Yeah. I'd be delighted to come along.
Yeah, well, I think our time we are sorry again. We're running out of time, and I only have to say thank you, Declan. Say thank you to Mary, to Mabel, to Diego, that something happened and he left. To Arturo, he's back.
He's back. He's back again.
He's back. Yeah. And also to Sandra Becerril, our friend in common, who made this possible. I would love to have her here in another moment, but this time is we're there she is. Hi.
Hi, Sandra.
Hi, Sandra. Hola, Sandra. Well, thank you very much, Declan. Gracias a todos los que estuvieron aquí acompañándonos en esta transmisión, en esta charla interactiva con Declan Hannigan, que nos enseñó un poco de cómo, de algunas tácticas para la actuación, ¿no? Para estos juegos con los que podemos aprender un poco más sobre este maravilloso arte de la actuación. Les agradecemos que nos hayan acompañado. Y bueno, pues es ya el último día de actividades de Macabro. Todavía tenemos algunas proyecciones. Los invitamos a que nos acompañen ahí en la Cineteca Nacional, en el Cinematógrafo del Chopo, en la Casa del Cine todavía tenemos por ahí. Y bueno, pues la verdad es que this is a great way to finish a festival. Thank you, Declan.
Good. Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me. And thanks for your participation, guys. You're really, really great.
Thank you, Declan.
Thank you, Declan.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Bueno, gracias a Beto que estuvo en la producción hoy. Y gracias a Cinema Tempo.